I forgot to start recording. Okay, let me start again. Today is December 15th, Thursday, and we are in the Dwadash Sarga Raghuvamsham. So we are starting with last time towards the end of the class we were talking about this Chaturthi Vibhakti used in the 55th shloka. Saravanartantabhyam vachasa chashta maithilim atmanaha sumhat karma vraniravedya samstitaha. So we're talking about this tabhyam chaturthi dvivachanam rama lakshmanabhyam achashta. So the meaning was that saha jatayuhu rama lakshmanabhyam ravana rhitam maithilim achashta. For example, in Gita, let's go to Gita for Tanme Bruhi Sunishchitam, comes in Bhagavad Gita. Always keep Gita by your side at all times. And in, let's say, chapter 3 of Gita, Jayasi Chet Karmanaste Mata Badrijanabana Tadkin Karmani Go Rema Niyojesi Keshava Vyamishreneva Vakyena Buddhimo Hoyasiva Me Tadekam Vadanishchitya. No, not here. Let me see. It comes another place. Tanme bruhi sustushishitam. Tanme bruhi. Me bruhi. Tell me unto me. The same thing, same usage there. Tanme bruhi sunish. Okay, chapter 5, first shloka. Tanyasin karmanam Krishna punaryogam chashamsasi yachreya etayorokam ekam tanme bruhi sunishitam. So tell that unto me. Tat me bruhi. Same thing here. So this me unto me, mayyam me, is the recipient of the advice or of the narration, who is being told unto him. So tat is dvitiya ekvachanam, me mayyam me is chaturthi ekvachanam, tan me bruhi. So tvam tat me bruhi. Same thing here we have in the shloka right now, we have Jatayuhu Maithilim Rama Lakshmanabhyam Vachasa Achashta. Okay, so now the commentaries was saying here that Kriya Grahanam Api Kartavyam Iti Sampradanatvat Chaturthi. Okay, now as we just said that in the Ashtadhyaya there is only one single quarter of the Ashtadhyaya, which is the third quarter of chapter 2. Dvitiyasya Dhyasya Tritiye Pade Vibhakti Vidhanam. So there, but that third quarter of chapter 2 refers to certain sanyas, certain technical terms which have been defined earlier. Yes, Vijay, the question? You have your hand raised. Okay. Vijaya has your hand raised. If you have a question, I think your mic might be muted. Okay. Okay. So there's in 2.3 we encounter this, like, see, for example, here Pani says 2.3.13 Chaturthi Sampradane. Now what is Sampradanam? For that we have to go to the Karaki Adhikara in 1.4. In 1.4 of Ashtadhyaya, Panini defines these technical terms, these Karakas, Karakasanya Vidhiyate. So what is Karta? So who is Karta? What is Karta? What is Karma? What is Karanam? What is Sampradanam? What is Apadanam? So those are all defined in 2.3. Sorry, in 1.4. In 1.4, in the Karaki Adhikara. So even though 1.4, the Karaki Adhikara does not do any Vibhakti Vidhanam, it does give us these Sanya Vidhanam. It means to define these names called who is a subject, what can be considered an object, and what is the instrument, what is the locus, etc. So this Karaki Adhikara, which goes from 1.4.23, it is the Adhikara which goes all the way up to this Tat Prayojako Hetushcha, which we have seen in the daily examples, Tat Prayojako Hetushcha. So here this is the Karaka Sanya Vidhanam. So these are all these names are defined, and then those are used in 2.3 to then tell us which Vibhakti to use, in which case. Now, its important thing is that these doesn't mean that, for example, let's say we have the Karma Sanya. You say in 1.4, Pani defines this Sanya of Karma. So there, for example, that comes in here. Karturipsitamam Karma. So that is coming over here, 1.4. Just a quick example, 1.4.49. Just Karturipsita Tamam Karma. Karturipsita Tamam Karma. So that which the doer wants to most accomplish through the action is the object of the action. Now, for example, you say Ramaha Sitam Pashyati. Now, Sita is the object of the action. Now, Sita will get Dvitiya Vibhakti by the Sutram 238, which is Karmani Dvitiya. Karmani Dvitiya. It's 232. Karmani Dvitiya. Now, but if you make it a passive sentence, we'll get Sita Ramena Drishyate. Now, in this passive sentence also, Sita is still the karma and Rama is still the karta. But now Sita got Prathama Vibhakti. That is because the Sita became what is called as Abhita. Abhita means she was already described by the verb. So Abhita, and we won't go into too many details today. We don't need all these details today. But all I'm trying to tell you is that just because something has the sanya of karma does not mean that it will be Dvitiya Vibhakti in the sentence. If it's a passive sentence, that karma will take Prathama Vibhakti. So you have to keep these two ideas distinct. One is the Karaka Sanya, one is the Vibhakti Vidhanam. Karaka Sanya tells us what is the object, what is the subject, etc. The Vibhakti Vidhanam finally tells us that we have to use Dvitiya Vibhakti, Tritiya Vibhakti, Chaturthi, etc. And those are, so if you have a sentence that I just mentioned to you, this is Ramaha Sitam Pashyati, and then we have Sita Ramena Drishyate or Ramena Sita Drishyate. In both these sentences, Sita has the karma sanya. But in one sentence, she has Dvitiya Vibhakti, and other sentence, she has Prathama Vibhakti. The karma sanya does not change. In both sentences, Rama is the karta, of course, and Sita is the karma. But in one case, Sita gets Dvitiya Vibhakti, and in one case, she gets Prathama Vibhakti. She gets Prathama Vibhakti in the passive sentence because this thing called Anabhite. That all these rules in 232 only apply if that entity has not already been connected with the verb, has not been described by the verb. When you say Ramaha Sitam Pashyati, that Pashyati tells nothing about Sita. Rama could be saying anybody. That Pashyati form depends only on Ramaha. Because say Ramaha Rakshasan Pashyati. You can say anything like that. So that Pashyati Rama was the Abhita in the first sentence. The second sentence, Sita became Abhita. Because we have Sita Ramena Drishyate. Now Drishyate already told us that the person being seen is a third person singular. So Sita became Abhita. And then she did not take Dvitiya Vibhakti in the passive sentence. In the passive sentence, Sita defaulted to Prathama Vibhakti by the sutram which is down here, Pradipadika, etc. down here. So that is only point I'm making for right now is that just because someone is karma does not automatically mean Dvitiya. Yes, Dvitiya is the default here, but that may be overruled, and not only that, Dvitiya is the default only in the case of Anibhite. So the Karaka labels is one thing, and then of course that depends on the nature of the sentence, on the Vivaksha of the speaker. Again, the speaker may choose to express someone in a certain Karaka or different Karaka. So you just say Vivakshataha Karakani Bhavanti. Vivakshataha Karakani Bhavanti means the Karakas means Karta, Karma, Subject, Object, etc. They depend on the will of the speaker. He might decide to express one or the other. So with this small background now what we were saying last time is that the Chaturthi Vidhanam. Chaturthi Vidhanam is done over here in 2.3. And it says Chaturthi Sampradane, which is 2.3.13. Chaturthi Sampradane. So if something has a sanya of Sampradhanam, which kind of the beneficiary. In English, you can say called kind of the I think what's called as the dative, or I think it's the beneficiary of the action, the beneficiary, roughly speaking. So that is called. Then that entity will get Chaturthi Vibhakti. So in our shloka last time, we had a situation where that Rama and Lakshmana, they were the beneficiary of the action of telling. So because Jatayu narrated unto them that Sita had been abducted by Ravana. That was the thing. So Tabhyam. Now the sutram which defines the Sampradana Sanya, that comes in that comes back in 1.4. 1.4, as we just said. In 1.4, we'll have the 1.4 starts, Karake starts from here, 1.4, and then 1.4.32, Karmana Yam Abhipraiti Sa Sampradhanam. Karmana yam abhipreti sasampradanam. Sasampradanam. That's 1432. So, and you can look at the vritti of that 1432. Okay, this is all from the last class. I just realized after the class I may have said something wrong in the class by mistake. So 1432 says, Danasya karmana yam abhipreti sasampradana sanyasyat. So when somebody is the recipient of a donation or the object of, or somebody receives something, he, she, it gets a sanya sampradanam by 1432. And then we go to 2.3 and then we say Chaturthi Sampradanam and he gets Chaturthi Vibhakti. For example, Upadhyayaya Gam Dadati Chatraha. So a student gives a cow or a bull to his teacher, Upadhyayaha. So that is, Upadhyaya is the teacher, Upadhyayaya Gam Dadati. So that is a sentence. Now in this sentence, the karma is the gam pratipadikam, go pratipadikam. So, and the recipient of that donation is the teacher, is the teacher. So that is why he gets the sampradana sanya. Now, but this sutram, if you look at the vritti, it only applies to the object of the action of giving, Now, right now in the shloka, we do not have that. We do not have the action of giving. What we have is that he narrated to Rama and Lakshmana, that Sita had been abducted. So technically speaking, if you look at that strict definition of Sampradanam in the Sutram 1432, then we cannot get a Sampradana Sanya for Rama and Lakshmana because of the fact that we don't have an action of giving right now. So then there is a Vartikam on this Sutram 1432, which says that Kriyaya api yam abhiprayati saspradhanam. So when somebody is also the recipient, the beneficiary, or the intended target of an action, she could also get sanya sampradhanam. So that is what's referred to by Malinatha in this shloka, when he says on the commentary that kriyaya. So kriya grahanam api kartavyam. As I mentioned to you a few times, these vartikanis, they can have partha bhedas. Means the vartika partha is not the same everywhere. So in this kashika we have right now is that kriya api yam abhipareti sampradhanam. That's the vartikam in kashika. But here Malinatha has given it as kriya grahanam api kartavyam. So not only the karma, but when the kriya itself is meant for somebody as a beneficiary of that action, then that also qualifies, that someone qualifies as the Sampradana Sanya. So right now we have that Rama Lakshmana Bhyam Achashta. So he told unto them. So they were the beneficiaries, they were the intended someone unto whom the telling was done. So it also gets Sampradhanam. So I think in the last class I may have said by mistake that here in this Sutram Karmana refers to the action. No, in this sutram, the karmana refers to the object of giving. So when I said, vipraya gam dadati, so that gam is the karma. The karma sanya we already, I think in the end of the class, I may have by mistake said that karma is somehow the action. No, karma is the object, the thing that is given. In this case, the cow is given. And as the karma sanya already, I just told in the beginning of the class, it is already defined over here, kartur ipsita tamang karma. So that he wants to most, tie up with the connect with the action is the cow. The cow is what he wants to give. So he gives the cow to his teacher. So that karma sanya, please, if I said in the last class by mistake, karma is action, no. Karma is the object, the thing which is given, the object of the giving. And unto whom it is given, that entity gets Chaturthi Vibhakti by Karmanayam Abhiprayati Sampradhanam. So that is what we saw. But this sutram, strictly speaking, only refers to the beneficiary, recipient of a donation or a giving action. We don't have that right now. We have a telling, narrating action. So technically speaking, we could not use this one, and so that is why we have to use the Vartikam, which says that even when an action is done for somebody, then that action also that recipient beneficiary of the action also gets Chaturthi Vidanam. Also gets Sampradana Sanya and then Chaturthi. We have to go take a two-step process. First we get Sampradana Sanya by the Vartikam under 1432. Sampradana, so Kriyaya api yam abhipraiti sampradanam, and then we go to 2.3 and get Chaturthi Sampradane. So the only error I made last time, I think in a hurry I may have said karma refers to an action. No, karma is the object, the thing which is being given. Right. Now, and of course Chaturthi Sampradane is in 2.3 Chaturthi Sampradane 2.3.13. Now, there are a couple of other ways, without going into too many details right now, there are a couple of other ways in the Mahabhashyam, the different ways are given. Now, as I just said to you, that the strict interpretation of the Sutram, which is Sampradana Sanya, which we just saw, is only allows us to use the beneficiary of a donation to get by 1432. So it says Danasya Karmana. So Yam Abhipraiti. So that is the thing. So the recipient of a donation, so the object is, unto whom it's given. But we can sometimes extend that, if we can extend that to, something beyond Dana Kriya, So we don't have to then, the commentary says here, then we can just use Sutram itself. Karmanajam Abhipraiti Sampradhanam. We don't need to go to the Vartikam, because he narrated Sita. So he gave a narration that Sita was abducted by Ravana unto them. So if we relax the Sutram, we can probably manage with the Sutram itself. Actually, this Vartikam, to be honest with you, is reserved for those cases when there is no object. When there is no object. Siddhanta Kaumudi example gives Patye Shete. So she sleeps for the benefit of her husband. So when there is no object of an action, that is when we need this Vartikam more. We may not need to get this Vartikam in this case, because if we don't take this Sampradhanam as strictly referring only to the Dana Kriya, then we can manage with the Sutram itself. So that's one thought. And the other thought is that we can even manage with one more Sutram, which comes here, which is the here it is, Namaswasti Swaha, Chaturthi, yeah, this is 1, 2, 3, 14. Kriyarthopapadasya cha karmani sthaninaha. I'm sorry, I'm digressing too much now, but so 2, 3, 14 says that if you have, for example, quick example. Yes, let's see the example which is given is, Phalebhyo yati. He goes to collect flower. He goes to collect fruits. So he goes for fruits. Means phalani chetum praptum yati. He goes to obtain or to collect fruits. Now, in this sentence, if you suppress the chetum or the praptum, then you can use chaturthi with phala. So you can say, rather than saying he goes to collect fruits, we can say he goes for the fruits. You can say, so devadattaha phalani chetum atva praptum yati. So we can say devadattaha phalebhyo yati. So you can supply tumun and then take it away, and then what was the object of that tumunantam, the infinitive? We get chaturthi. So in that also we can manage here, because what we could have said is that Rama Lakshmanau bodhayitum achashta. So he narrated that Sita was abducted by Ravana in order to inform, in order to make it known to Rama and Lakshmana. So Rama Lakshmanau bodhayitum achashta. And now we take away the bodhayitum, and then Rama and Lakshmana will get the chaturthi by this sutram, which is over here. So kriyarthopapadasya cha karmani sthaninaha. We can then say Rama Lakshmana bhyam achashta. Just like we have said that phalani chetum gacchati, phalebhyo gacchati. Similarly here we could have said Rama Lakshmanau bodhayitum achashta. We can say Rama Lakshmana bhyam achashta. So he narrated that in order to inform Rama Lakshmana. You take away the to inform and then give chaturthi to Rama Lakshmana. So Rama Lakshmana Bhyam Achashtu. So in English we can say he narrated that to inform Rama Lakshmana, or he said he narrated that unto Rama Lakshmana Chaturthi. So anyway, last time the only correction I want to make is that I don't know if in a hurry in the last time I by mistake I said this in the Sutram 114 that karmanajam abhipreti sampradhanam. In that sutram, that karma is definitely the thing which is being given. It doesn't refer to the action. So that 1432, and the vartikam is required only if you take the sutram the strict meaning that it has to be the action of giving. Then we have to use the vartikam, which is the kriya granam vikartavyam. Even when an action is done for benefiting somebody, then even that somebody qualifies for the sampradana sanya, chaturthi sampradana in 2.3. And second thing is that if we don't take the strict meaning, then we can use sutram itself to get the sampradana sanya. And one more way out is that we can even use the sutram in 2.3.14 to directly give. Now, notice one thing, by the way. This 2.3.14 did not require sampradana sanya. There are see in 2.3, not every sutram requires a karaka sanya. Some of them do, some of them don't. For example, quick example, you say Shivaya Namaha, Namah Shivaya. That Shiva doesn't get the sampradana sanya first, then Chaturthi Vidhanam. Directly in this 2.3 is Pani says if Namaha is used, we have to Chaturthi with, to the person to whom Namaskara is done. So Namah Shivaya. So these are what are called Upapada Vibhaktis. So here when we use 2.3.14, we say Rama Lakshmana Bodhayutum, Rama Lakshmana Bhyam. So that time Rama Lakshmana did not get the Sampradana Sanya first and then Chaturthi, directly Chaturthi Vidhanam. So 2.3.14 directly prescribed Chaturthi to Rama Lakshmana Bhyam. While 2.3.13 depends on a Sampradana Sanya which has been obtained in 1.4. Okay, so there are three ways out. One is the Vartikam, one which is use the Sutram itself in 1.4, and the third way out is you can use 2.3.14. So this Vibhakti Vidhanam is an art form. It is not black and white. It's not black and white like we do Sandhi, we do Suprakriya, thing in the Prakriya. So Vibhakti Vidhanam requires a little bit of adjustment, a little bit of thought, because it's not, made exactly, airtight by Panini, because it's a language, there have to be different ways to express different things. Anyway, okay, so that was last time. Let's start with this Shat Panchashattama Shlokaha. Tayostasmin Navibhuta Pitru Vyapat Tishokayoho Vitarivagni Samskarat Para Vavrutire Kriyaha. Tayostasmin Navibhuta Pitruvyapatti Shokayoho Vitarivagni Samskarat Para Vavrutire Kriyaha. Padacheda is Tayoho Tasmin Navibhuta Pitruvyapatti Shokayoho. This is a long, big adjective. It's a Bahuvri compound. It is qualifying Rama Lakshmana Yoho, Tayoho. So it is Navibhuta Pitru Vyapatti Shokayoho. We see the whole thing in detail in a second, but that's the Samastam Padam from up to here. Navibhuta Pitru Vyapatti Shokayoho. Then Pitari Iva Agni Samskarat. Panchami Ekavachanam Paraha Vavrutire Kriyaha. Of course, all the Sandhi operations I'm not doing in this class because we have done them in the daily examples many times. But just to what is happening is Paraha Vavrutire is we get the Bho Bhago Agho Apurvasya Yoshi, and then we get the Halisarvesham. So what has been used over here is the Bho Bhago Agho Apurvasya. So we have Bho Bhago Agho Apurvasya Yoshi. So, and then we have Halisarvesham, the Yakar Lopa Halisarvesham. So that is the Paraha Vavrutire, Para Vavrutire. Now, and one more thing, this in Pitari Saptami Ekavachanam of Pitru Pratipadikam, and what we have there is a Sutram 7.3.1.110, which is Rutoni Sarvanamasthana Yoho. Rukaranta Pradipadikam. Then we take the Guna Adeshaha Alontyasya when followed by the Pratyaya Ni or Sarvanamasthana Pratyaya. In this case, Pitari is Saptami Ekvachanam, so that Pitri takes the Guna Adesha Uran Raparaha becomes Pitari. So these rules I'm not going into detail in the class, but Pitari, if you want to do some homework, it is 7311110. And this, if you want to get some examples, just go to the website and then get some examples from there. So as I said to you many times, this class, our backbone is the daily examples. So here we can come and look at 7311110, and you can just search for a sutram and you can get some good example. Let's see what it gives us. So Ritoni Sarvanamasthanayoho, Ritoni Sarvanamasthanayoho. So here it is, some examples are here. So here, Rutoni Sarvanama, see this, here is example. So Rutoni Sarvanamasthanayoho, you can practice on the website. So any sutram which, we already done in the daily example, you can just come over here and you can look at the question over here, which says, here it is, what would you say? Here, question number 5, Rutoni Sarvanamasthanayoho. You can look at answer number 5. Here we have Matari. So, we have Mataram in this case, different example, Mataram, but same thing example. Okay, so Pitari Saptami Ekvachanam. So now what we have is that, so let's go through the Padavichara. So Tayoho is Shashti Dvivachanam, Rama Lakshmana Yoho. So Pradibadikam Tat, Pullinge Shashti Dvivachanam, Tyadadi Namaha, Ato Gune. And that's how the process goes. And then we get the Ekaradeshaha. Ekaradeshaha by Sutram Osicha. So that's what I'm talking about, is over here in 73104 Osicha Eka. And then Echo Yavayavaha Tayoho. Tayoho is Shashti Dvivachanam. Tasmin, of course, is Saptami Ekvachanam, same Pradipadikam Tat. Whenever you have pronouns, as we have mentioned many times, always find out which noun is behind those pronouns. So Tayoho is Rama Lakshmana Yoho. And then Tasmin, in fact, here we'll give Gridre. So here nicely Mulinatha gives Tayoho, Raghava Yoho, Rama Lakshmana Yoho, Tasmin Gridre. So the actions of the two of them, conducted by the two of them, were done with regard to or towards the Jatayu, who had just passed away. So Tasmin is Saptami Ekvachanam. It stands for Jatayushi or Pakshini Gridre. But Tayoho is Rama Lakshmana Yoho. Now Navi Bhuta Pitru Vyapatti Shoka Yoho. We'll go on the compound in detail in a second, but it is qualifying Rama Lakshmana Yoho. Again, it's Shashti Dvivachanam. Also, one thing we have talked about is that whenever you have a little bit of a doubt what would be the vibhakti of this particular word, you can always look around in the shloka. How about the samadhikaranam? Another word is the same, refers to the same entity as this word. In that case, those two generally have the same vibhakti lingam. So in this case, Tayoho and Navi Bhuta Pitru Vyapatti Shokayoho are both talking about Rama Lakshmana Yoho. So they're both Shashti Dvivachanam. Okay, so in English we find quickly Navi Bhuta, which means has become new again, which has become transformed to new. Pitru is of course father. Vyapatti means a great difficulty. In this case means maranam. You can look at the translation. Vyapatti is maranam. So shokayo. So Pitru Vyapatti shokaha means the grief on account of the death of their father. Navi Bhuta means which had become new again, So basically which had again surfaced in their mind. So Rama Lakshmana, who were such that the grief of their father's death had again become new. So that is qualifying Rama Lakshmana. So while they were doing the samskara for Jatayu, they were reminded of their father's death again. Basically what that means is that. So they were such that the grief of their father's death had become new again, And then Pitari Saptami. Now Saptami means we said, just again the same thing. Saptami we had to find a sutram in 2.3. to justify the Saptami. It's always a good exercise just to find a sutram in 2.3 justify Saptami. And for any vibhakti. For the rest of our life, you can do this exercise. And I said 2.3 is not a Dirgha Padaha, Laghu Padaha. It's a short Padaha because it only has 73 sutras. So every vibhakti in the entire language, every single one, has to be justified by one of these 73 sutras. It's like you can look at in one page. And every sentence has so many vibhaktis. Of course, many of them will be obvious, but still, the bottom line is that every vibhakti has to be justified, one of these 73, or maybe a vartikam on that, but that is the thing. So here what you have is a saptamyadhikarane. So let's see, saptamyadhikarane will come somewhere here. So it comes shashti. So saptamyadhikarane. So the locus of the action. And then adhikaranam is again a karaka sanya, which will be defined in 1.4. So just like we did Chaturthi Vidhanam, Saptami Vidhanam, the main sutram is Saptami Adhikaran. That's not the only one, but Saptami Adhikaran is where the Saptami Vidhanam starts from here. Saptami Vidhanam Arabhyate. So then we go back to 1.4 and then we see what is the meaning of Adhikaranam. And there Panini says Adhara Adhikaranam. So the locus, the basis, the spot on which the action is done. Now what do you have over here? Pitari. Now Pitri is the Adharaha. Now what kind of Adhara is he? Because he's not like a physical location of the action, because they did the Antyeshti, the final rites towards Jatayu really, just like they did that for their own father. So Pitari is what's called a Vishaya Saptami. Means that is the subject matter. In English, with regard to or towards, in the matter of, in the subject of, in the subject matter of, or with regards to or towards. So that's also an adharaha. That action is done not physically. Physically, when you say bhumo patati, he falls on the ground. And of course, physically he falls on the ground. Clearly that bhumi is the adharaha. That is the substratum on which action was done. So you say Ramaha Sitam Vane Pashyati. He sees Sita in the forest. Of course, the forest is the location of the action. But this is also a location. This is not that he did the Kriya on his father, but he did it with regard. Two of them did the Samskaraha which had the father as the subject. How about that? Which has the father as the subject. That was the Kriya. So that is also an Adharaha. So Pitru gets the sanya of Adhikaranam. Saptam Yadhikarane gives the Saptam Vidhanam. So now you can see the subject of the sentence is that, and this is the trademark of Kalidasa is the Iva. Upama Kalidasasya, right? So Iva. So they did the Avdi Samskar, all the Kriyaha, they conducted with regard to Jatayu, towards Jatayu, having Jatayu as the subject of those Kriyas, in the same way as they had done before with regard to their father. So Pitari, Saptami Ekvachanam, and Tasmin Saptami Ekvachanam. Now always also we have discussed many times in the class is that when you have a Upama Upameya, means something is being compared to something, always you have to match the vibhaktis. So in this case, on both sides, in the thing which is the comparison and the Upama and the thing being compared, Upameya. So now what we have is that the simile is, Pitari eva, like towards their father. So Pitari is Saptami, and then Tasmin is Saptami. So now you know the comparison being made between whom and whom, between Dasharatha, the father, and Jatayu, who is right now. So you know exactly what or who is being compared to what or whom. So always match the vibhakti on both sides. So that is how you know. So you say, like A did this to B, like C would do to D, something like that. So you have to match, the vibhakti. So Pitari is Saptami, Tasmin is Saptami. The comparisons between Jatayu and their father, Dasharatha. Then Agni Samskarat. The simple Saptami Tatpurushaha, Agnau Samskaraha. Samskar means purification in the fire. So fire purification. But Samskarat is clearly Panchami Ekvachanam Ramat. So Ta Nyasi Nyasam Inatsyaha is that you get the At Adesha for Nyasi. and then akasame dirgha. I mean, all these rules now we already know. So what I'm talking about is in 7.1. As my teacher told me many times, my teacher used to say, whenever you have a pratyaya adesha, when the pratyaya is completely changed to another pratyaya, that is the topic of 7.1. See, one of the things we do in this class is that always keep the Ashtadhyayi as like your mother. So Mata Iva, it is like a mother. So because that is the Muna Shastram. Those are the words of Panini. So always we have to, of course sometimes we may have to extend them, we may have to understand them, that is fine. But as far as possible, keep that as your basis. So ta nyasi nyasam inatsyaha. So that nyasi pratyaya gets the atadeshaha, and then akasame dirgha, we get samskarat. So we have to supply arabhya. Agni samskarat arabhya. So starting from that, paraha means uttaraha, the later. So later, the later actions, and this is qualifying kriyaha, paraha kriyaha, and then the verb is vavritire. Now, one quick tip for you is that you see the ending ire. You see the ire ending in this language. If you know it's a verbal form, then there is only one ire ending. Unfortunately, this is not in the Gita. This is not in the Bhagavad Gita. This Bhagavad Gita does not have any. First of all, the Gita has very few lit forms. And secondly, it does not have any form for the lit in Atmanipadam. So unfortunately, in the Bhagavad Gita, there is no lit prayogaha to the best of my knowledge in Atmanipadam. So there is no example in Gita. But the sutram is, which we'll do, I think, in the coming next Saturday class, we'll do this, is maybe this coming class or the following class. Litas tajayo reshirech. That ire ending, Patsam Purusha Bhuvachanam, Atmanipadam in lit. So one more time, if you have an ending in ire, comes in Purusha Suktam. Gavo hajadnire tasmaat, Gavo jadnire. Jadnire means they were born. The cows were born from that. So gavo jadnire tasmaat. So jadnire comes in Purush Suktam. It comes in other places like lebhire and so on. But that ire ending, one more time, is you can close your eyes and say this must be a lit prayogaha, prathama purusha bahuvachanam, third person plural of lit. Because the pratyaya ja, atmanipadam, gets the ire adesha. Ire adesha becomes jadnire. So, of course, dhatu here, vrutu vartane means they proceeded. Those actions proceeded. Vru is to exist, to be, to move around also, to go on, means they proceeded. So, simple sentence is that always make the kriya padam, the tingantam padam, as the anchor, the shanku sthapanam. That is the shanku of the vakyasya shanku. So you can make that as the central, the anchor point of this sentence. Because ekating vak, everything else we can add because there is some action going on. Of course, sometimes you may have to supply, like bhavati, asti, vidyate, vartate, we have to supply. But that's also fine. But at least always establish that. Because what happens is that you tend to be lost with all these, the Tritiya and the Chaturthi and the Panchami and the Upama and the Upameya. Just first of all, just clear the deck and simply start with the Tingantam Padam. Then you know what is the action in the sentence. You know that. Then we can find out who did the action. Then, what was the object of the action? Who was it intended for? Where was the action done? The action was done like what? Those all will come later, all later. First thing is get the Tingantam Padam. So it is Vavritire, and look at the commentary, Avartanta. Of course, Avartanta is a straightforward Lang Lakara form because Jhonta has come over there. So Atmanipada Dhatu, Atmanipadi Dhatu. So Avartanta should be well known to us by now. It's a Lang Lakara. You see the Ad Agamaha, Lung Lang Rung Kshvadataha. So that is the action. Means something happened, something took place, something proceeded. Something went on. Now what went on? Now you start adding on the extra, the small thing. So first thing is that can we find the subject of this action? And sure enough, it is right here. Kriyaha vavritire. Kriyaha, of course, is Pratama Bahuvachanam, like Lata, Lataha, Ramaha, Kriyaha, vavritire. So the actions took place. Okay, so we have two now. We have two things. Now, so then tayoho kriyaha vavritire. So we have that. So we have that whose actions took place of the two of them, means conducted by the two of them. Katribhutayoho kriyaha. So these actions which were conducted by the two of them, so action connected with the two of them, the actions of the two of them. Which are these two? Ram Lakshmanayoho kriyaha vavritire. So the actions, or actually in this case it's the rituals or the rites of the two of them, they proceeded. Then those two have an adjective to them, which is the Navi Bhuta Pitru Vyapatti Shokayoho. With the two of them, Ram Lakshmana Yoho, they were such that their grief of their father's death had again become new. Okay, so this entire thing, we don't need to deal with this right in the beginning. We only need to start with even if you don't understand this whole adjective, so what? At least you got the fact that the two Rama Lakshmana, their rituals proceeded. We got the simple meaning, and you may not get all the adjectives and all the other bells and whistles. Don't worry about it. You got the main sentence, and then you can try to pick up as many pieces as you can. So this way you can get an entry into the shloka, even though, or in any sentence, So you got a good entry. That is why we see, because a lot of people say, well, we don't need Panini Vyakaranam. What's the use of that? What happens is that without Panini Sutra, it is really inefficient to derive all these Tinganta Padani. To derive all these verbal form without Panini Vyakaranam is really a complete waste of time. It's very inefficient, I should say. It's like, as I mentioned to you, you try to memorize mathematical tables, 2 times 3 is 6, 4 times 3 is 12. You don't have to memorize that. You don't have to memorize that. You don't have to memorize 4 times 3 is 12. You don't have to memorize that. You should be able to know that on your own. If you start memorizing mathematical tables, 5 times 5 is 25, you might forget also. You may think 5 times 5 is 24 maybe tomorrow. That is completely foolish. You don't have to do that. Same thing here, is that we can derive all this on very quickly. And though that is the heart of the sentence, the Tingantam Padam is the heart of the sentence. So now by the grace of Panini, we have a very quick way of attacking the central part of the sentence, which is what we need, and then we can build around that. So then we have Tasmin, is the action was done with whom as a subject, with regard to whom, towards whom, Tasmin Jatayushi Gridhre. So it was done towards, or for, the subject of the action was the Jatayuhu, who had just died. And then what kind of actions were these? Paraha Kriyaha. They were later actions. Later than what? Is Agni Samskarat Paraha Kriyaha. So Agni Samskarat Arabhya. So starting with the Agni Samskara, all the further actions, they proceeded. And they were actions of Rama and Lakshmana. And they were actions of Rama and Lakshmana which had the Gridra, the vulture, as the subject. And Rama and Lakshmana was such that they were now again remembering the grief of their father's death. And there's one upama is there, Pitari Iva. They conducted the action just like they did towards their father. Similarly, they conducted the action towards the Gridre. Same thing here. So that's the sentence. So you always try to build on this verb and try to start connecting from there. Of course, if you are not able to find the verb, then look for the karta maybe. Who is the doer of the action? Maybe you can start from there. But don't start with like the Saptami or the Chaturthi. I mean, of course, if you can understand quickly, it is fine. But those are all extra things, And they will be like, if you read Ramayana, Bhagavatam, there will be so many adjectives, so many, extra, clauses over there. You don't get, enmeshed in all of that in the beginning. Just go for the verb and then try to find the subject if you can. Try to find the object and then proceed from there. Okay, then you can tag the adjectives, etc. So let's look at the Vyak. Of course, this is a simple shloka, but it's okay. We can get some confidence with that. So Tayoriti. Tayoriti tells them it's where is the commentary starting on. It's starting with shloka Tayoriti. We're starting from here, Tayoho. Because the commentator tells us which part is he commenting on. He's commenting on the section starting with Tayoho, which is this shloka here. Then Vyapattihi is Maranam. Vyapatti is Maranam. So Vyapad, this dhatu pad, padagato, I think it is. It is almost always used with the upasarga. Like apatti, sampatti, vipatti, pratipatti, prapatti. So this all is, like in Gita, Shadiman Tvam Prapannam. It comes in so many places in Gita. So this dhatu is a special dhatu. Even though it needs to go or to move, it is used in connection with various upasargas to give various shades of moving or going. So comes in Gita at the beginning, in fact, in Gita chapter 2 itself it comes. It says, Klaibyam masmagamaf partha. Naita toy upapadyate. Upapadyate. Later on the same, right there it comes again. Shadimantam prapannam. Prapadyate. So prapad. Then pratipadikam. I mean, all these words are formed from dhatu pad. It takes variety of meanings. And the apad means a difficulty, apad. And vyapad means again even more difficulty or difficult time. So vyapad and vyapatti is a feminine noun. As we were discussing in yesterday's class, is that Panini forms nouns from verbal roots in the third quarter of the third chapter of the Ashtadhyayi. So from Unadaya Bahulam, we talked in the yesterday's class for a long time, is how Panini forms these nouns from verbal roots. And there are only about, I think 19 sutras for how to form feminine nouns from verbal roots. So Striyam Tin starting from here up to the shlokaha, which is 33112. So these 19 sutras is Adhikara Striyam Tin, how to form a feminine noun from a verbal root. And the very first sutra is Striyam Ktin. Pratya Ktin is used, of course, Anubandha Lopa, Lashakvatadyate, the kakara is an it, Tasya Lopaha, Pratya Tiza. Without going into all the details, the Vyapatti is from Vyapad. Now this is important. See, Panini cannot tell us, Panini already assumed that we know the language fairly well. So how does V and A affect the dhatu pad? That we cannot get from Panini Vyakaranam. We have to know from the usage, from how the upasargas, and so that's we have to do the reading. That's why we read Ramayana, Gita, and Raghuvamsham to understand how the words are used in the language. We can derive those forms and all that, but to understand how the usage, how the meaning changes, upasarga vashat, on account of the upasarga, we have to only read and understand and get some practice from the actual usage. So anyway, Striyam Tin has been used. Then of course we get the Kharicha. Again, I'm not going in all the details, but Kharicha, and we give the pad becomes pat. So Vyapattihi Maranam. Vyapattihi Maranam. Vyapattihi is Maranam. And then now he says, see, he's look at how he builds the sentence. He puts the verb at the end. Vavrutire is avartanta. Okay. And then he wants to put the subject of the verb. That is kriyaha. So even he builds the sentence the same way. So kriyaha vavrutire. The action, the rituals proceeded. And then kriyaha has an adjective which is paraha kriyaha. Paraha uttaraha kriyaha. The further action, the further rituals, the later rituals. And then paraha connects with the panchami of Agni Samskarat. Is Agni Samskaram Arabhya. Samskaram Arabhya. So beginning with, of course, Arab is to begin. Arabhyam is beginning with this Agni Samskaraha. So we see how he builds a sentence. He takes the verb, he puts a subject. The subject has an adjective before it. The adjective is connecting with the panchami of Agni Samskara. The adjective is later. Later compared to what? Later means from, starting with, in this case starting with the Agni Samskaraha. And then he says that he puts the Saptami before that is the Gridre, Tasmin Gridre. The actions were done with having the Jatayuhu as the subject matter of the actions. And then he puts the Upama prior to that in between, Pitari Iva. Tasmin is he again, I always clarifies who the pronoun stands for. Tasmin is Gridhre. Then Pitari Iva, like towards their own father. And then he puts a Shashti Sambandha prior to that. Tayoho Raghavayoho Ramalakshmanayoho. So these actions which were of these two of them is conducted by the two of them, Raghavayoho. So the actions of these two Ramalakshmanayoho. And then those two have an adjective to them, which is this entire Bahuvri Samasaha finally. Navibhuta Pitru Vyapatti Shokayoho. Let's look at the compound now. And then he says Vyapattir Maranam. So before he starts to comment on this compound, he best clarifies Vyapattir is Maranam. Then Navibhutaha, we'll go into this in detail in the document. Navibhutaha, which has become new, which is transformed to new. So renewed. How about that in English? Renewed. And then Pitru Vyapatti Shokaha, there's no commentary inside that. He says Yayoho. The fact that you have a Yat Pratipadikam used in the Vigraha Vakyam for compound should immediately highlight to you that this is a Bahuvri compound. One more time. We've seen this, of course, we've done in great detail in the Wednesday class, that if you see a Yat Padam in the Vigraha Vakyam, in the what's called the explanatory sentence of a Samasaha, then always immediately suspect this is a Bahuvri compound. Because a Bahuvri compound, Anyapada Pradhanaha, is referring to somebody who's not in the compound. And that somebody who's not in the compound, who's really the main person being, or the thing being described by the compound, is referred to by this Yat Pratipadikam in the Vigraha Vakyam. So of whom? So we say Pitambaraha. So Pite Ambare Yasyasaha. So one who has. So you have to always put the one who or whose. So that always comes in the Vigraha Vakyam. You shouldn't say always, but you say that if there is this Yat Padam in the Vigraha Vakyam, suspect Bahuvrihi. This Yayoho is a tip-off. It's a Bahuvri compound. Yayoho Tau. One more thing. A Bahuvri basically converts a compound which has a noun at the end. It makes it an adjective. It converts this compound which has a noun as the final member into an adjective. That's the simple trick of Bahuvrihi. So Bahuvrihi. Bahuvri itself is a Bahuvrihi. So Bhavyaha, Vrihayaha, Yasyasaha. So one who has a lot of rice. So you can say Vrihayaha, Yasyasaha. So what we have the word Shoka at the end. Shoka is actually a noun, of course, means grief, but you have to make an adjective. Now, so they were the two whose grief of their father's death had become renewed. Now, Pitruvapatti Shokaha, there is no commentary inside the compound. It means should be Spashtatvat na Vyakhyatam. It should be straightforward. Pitruvyapatti is very straightforward. Shashti Samasa also we have said many times. Generally speaking, in a Shashti Samasaha, na Vyakhyayate. It will not be commented on. It's it's the most simple compound in the whole language. Let's say Raja Purusha, Rajnyaha Purusha, Raja Purusha. So Pitruvyapatti means Pituhu Vyapatti. Father's death. Pituhu Shashti Ekvachanam Vyapatti Maranam. And then again Shashti Samasa, Tasya Shokaha means the grief of connected with the death of their father. So these are both Shashti Samasa. There will be no commentary on that. But then finally our Bahuvri is the two of them were such that their grief connected with their father's death had become renewed. Okay, and then finally he gives the Abhipraya Shlokaha. He gives, this is a poetic way of saying basically that Rama and Lakshmana, they conducted the final rites of Jatayuhu in the same way they conducted the rites of Dasharatha, their own father. So he summarized, this is the entire thing, this sentence is summary of the whole shloka. As I said to you also many times, is that the object of this class is to try to understand the commentary more than the shloka itself. Because if you can understand the style of the commentaries, they give you an entrance into almost anything, including Vedas also. Because anything which is worth reading has commentaries on them. Anything which is worth reading has a commentary on it, generally speaking. Like Ramayanam, like Gita. Of course, Gita has hundreds of commentaries on that. So the more the commentaries means probably this more like, with this more thing which is well explained in that. Of course, the entire Vyakarana Shastra with many commentaries also. So if you can understand those commentaries, then through the commentary, we have to get interest into the Mula Grantha. And as we practice, then someday we can also basically write a commentary. So to understand the style of the commentary is very important. So here he is summarizing the entire shloka in his own words. So tasya means jatayushaha, rudrasya tasya, pitruvat means like towards their father, aurdhvadehikam chakratuhu ityarthaha. Ityartha means that is this gist of the shloka. The gist is that is chakratuhu. Chakratuhu is Prathama Purusha Dvivachanam. Like in Gita, Dadmatuhu comes in Gita, right? In Bhagavad Gita, in the very first chapter of Gita, we have these two forms. Of course, we have Uvacha to begin with, and then they have Dadmatu, Pradadmatuhu, that Atuhu ending, which we just started in the Saturday class, in the last Saturday class, that Atus ending is the Dvitiya, Prathama Purusha Dvivachanam. Not Dvitiya, but Prathama Purusha Dvivachanam. And so they perform, the two of them. So Chakratu means has to be a third person dual subject. So Rama Lakshmanau, Tasya Jatayushaha, Aurdhvadehikam. This is Tadita from Urdhvadeha. Aurdhvadehikam means connected with his later body, means his final rites. So the two of them conducted the final rites of him, just like they did for their father. That is the gist of the shloka. Okay, let's finish the shloka now. I think we did enough of this one. So what I put in the document here is that, let's see what I put here. Some extra details. Okay, the first of all, Navi Bhutaha. This is something we have done in great detail in the Wednesday class, so we won't spend too much time. The Vigraha Vakyam is Anavaha. Navaha Sampadhyamano Bhutaha. Something which was not new was transformed to new. That's what it's become. So becoming something which was not new became transformed to new. It basically renewed. And this is what's called Navi Bhuta. How do you get this form? Again, we're not going in full details in this class because we've already done this in many times before in this class and the Wednesday class. So this sutram is 5440. Abhuta tadbhave krubhasti yoge sampadyakartari chvihi. When the condition for using pratyaya chvihi has to be in connection with this dhatu kru, bhu or as. I mean, something is transforming into something. The same thing is transforming into something that was not before. The pratyaya chvi is used from that to the transformed state. The transformed state, which is in this case nava. So in short, nava, you take the pratyaya chvihi when something is transforming to that state, transforming itself. So the vritti says, vikaratmatam prapnuvatyam prakritau. So it is with some prakriti, something which was in one state is now transforming, going to another state, a transformed state. Vartamanat vikara shabdat. Vikara shabda is that new state, in this case the nava. Swarthe, without changing the meaning. Chvir vasyat, optionally. Karoti ityadi bhir yoge, which has to be in connection with kru, bhu or as. The condition for using this chvi, it has to be in connection with the dhatu kru, bhu or as. We have navi bhutaha. So we get the bhutaha over here. And then what happens with sutram asya chvau? The ending avaranaha becomes the ikara adeshaha. Avaranasya itsyat chvau. So we get, and then this chvi of course is sarvapahar lopaha. The entire thing goes away by upadesha jananasika it. Then chutu and Verapruktasya by 6167, the remaining vakara, apukta ekala pratyaha, it also goes away. So entire chvi goes away, and we get nava plus chvi, sarvapahar lopaha becomes navi. I'm going a little bit fast because we've done this many times, becomes navi. Then navi gets the gati sanya by the sutram uryadi chvi dachascha, and then we can form a gati samasa by navi bhutaha kugati pradayaha. Okay. And then this one, Pitr Vyapatti, we just talked about Shashti Samasaha, Sutram Shashti, their father's death. Pitr Vyapattehe Shokaha, so the grief connected with their father's death is also Shashti Samasaha. Then Vritu Vartane is a dhatu. We have the lit lakara, which we just learned in our daily examples recently. So it is Paroksha lit. And of course the ending Ukara is an it by Upadesha Janasika it. Anubandha lope la. The first steps are always the same. Lakaraha, Anubandha lopaha, then Tiptajji. So this is Atmanipadi dhatu. So if you look at the number 862, if you go to dhatu patha quickly, if you go to this 862 number 1, the Bhadiganaha, Vritu Vartane. So if you go to 862, look at the swara on the Vritu is Anudatta it. So by 1312, Anudatta Gnita Atmanipadam, we get the Atmanipad Pratyaha, which is Ja, because the Vyoksha is Kriyaha is the subject of this. So Pratha Purusha Bahuvachanam. Yes, at you get the Ire Adesha. Litas Tajayo Resh Rech. The Ja gets the Ire Adesha. And because it is Esh Rech, so that Ire is a Anekala Adesha. It has 2 letters, that is 3 letters, E, R, Ikara, Repha, and Ekara. Anekal is Sarvasya. Anytime you do an Adesha, you should always recall these 4 rules, 1, 52, 53, 54, 55, which is Alontyasya, Nyitcha, Adef Parasya, and Anekal is Sarvasya. If the Adesh is Anekal, replace the entire sthani, becomes Ire. And then, of course, we get the Abhyasaha, Niti Dhatur Anabhyasasya, become Vrut, Haladisheshaha, the Takara. So in an Abhyasa, Hal can remain only if it's the first member. Then we get Urat. In the Abhyasa, the Ruvarna takes the Akara Adeshaha. Uran Raparaha becomes Var. And then finally, again we do Haladisheshaha, Vavritire. Only thing is that, why no Guna Adesha for Ru by Puganta Lagupatasya cha? No Guna Adesha, because this Pratyaya Ire became a Kit Pratyaya by 125. Asanyoga lit kita. We will be seeing this in the Saturday class. In the coming Saturday class, we see a sutram. Asanyoga lit kita. So apit lit kitsyat. So lit pratyaya, which is apit. The pratyaya was ja, it became ire. There's no pit over there. And then there's no sanyoga prior to that. This apit lit kitsyat becomes kit. And then by kiniticha stops the gunadesha. So otherwise this viru should have become var by puganta lagupatasya uranda. It did not happen because of asanyoga lit kita. And then Agnav Samskara, Agni Samskara, Saptami Samasa. So, okay, let's bring out. You ready, sir, Nagaraji?
Yes, sir, namaskar.
Okay, let me try. In fact, you know what? I forgot to put the. Oh no. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me bring the translation over here. Pramadat Mayana Sajjikritam. I forgot to bring it here. Okay, let me see. Number 50. No, next one. We are 56, right? Okay. Okay, let's see what we have. We have 56. Let me see. Okay, 56. Okay. Okay. They two. What is that?
Tayoho.
Tayoho. I think of the 2 of them. Tayoho. In English, we can say, rather than saying, the actions of 2 of them proceeded, I think they're going to say that the 2 of them conducted the action. I think they're going to say in English. So, whose grief for the death of their father was renewed? Is that this one?
Navi Bhuta Pitruvyapatti Shokaya.
Shokayo. Navi Bhuta is renewed. Renewed is Navi Bhuta.
Okay.
And then father, of course, Pitru. And then death is Vyapattihi and grief is Shokaha. So, Navi Bhuta Pitru Vyapatti Shokayoho. Then performed, that is the verb. Which one is that?
Vavritire.
They mean they proceeded basically, but since they took the Shashti and made it into Prathama, they performed. So rather than saying the actions of the 2 of them proceeded, saying in English that sounds very, very clumsy. So they performed basically. So performed. All the, there's no all, I think this is right. The afterlife ceremonies.
Parah Kriya.
I think Paraha Kriyaha, correct. Paraha Kriyaha. Then commencing with the rite of burning the dead body.
Agni Samskarat.
Agni Samskarat. Agni Samskarat. So basically look at the commentary. Agni Samskaram Arabhya. And even in the translation, I think he has taken this one down here. Aurdva Dehikam Chakratuhu. They performed their final rites. So that's what is put in the translation. He has used the commentary also. So, which is a very good thing. If you look at all the Gita Press commentaries, they always use the commentaries, because the commentary is almost like a part of the text itself, Okay, and sometimes even in a way more important than the text itself. So commencing with the rite of burning in honor of him. What would you say for that? With regard to him, with him as a subject.
Vitariva.
I think Tasmin. Tasmin.
Oh, Tasmin. I'm sorry, Tasmin.
It's okay. Tasmin Grudre. So with regard to him, in the same way. Iva, just as Iva, as they would do in honor of their royal sire, means their father, basically. That is Pitari. Thank you, sir. That's Pitari. So that is meaning of shloka. Okay, let's do the next one now. It says that Vada nirdhuta shapasya kabandasyopadeshataha mumurcha sakhyam ramasya samana vyasane harau. Vada nirdhuta shapasya kabandasyopadeshataha mumurcha sakhyam ramasya samana vyasane harau. Padacheda is Vada nirdhuta shapasya. That is a samastam padam. Is shashti ekvachanam finally. So Vada nirdhuta shapa. Vada nirdhuta shapasya. It's a compound. And how do we know it's a compound? Because simple rule, which is that supo dhatu pratipadikayoho, inside a pratipadikam or a dhatu, the sup pratyaya cannot stay. It is removed. So what we have is that Vada and Nirdhuta have no declension ending with them. That's a simple way of saying that these are going to be part of a compound. Because it should have become Vadhena Nirdhutasya Shapasya. But that Vadhena has become just Vada, because that pratyaya ta is removed, because it's part of the compound now. So inside a compound, very simply speaking, the vibhakti endings are lost. Sup look, what's called sup look. So that is how we know something is in a compound or not. Of course, when something has the same form with or without the vibhakti ending, like all the avya padani, then we do not know something is a compound or not. But as a general rule, though, is that how do we know something is in a compound? When it does not have the vibhakti ending with it. So this is Vada nirdhuta shapasya. The sya ending, of course, is shashti ekvachanam. Same sutram. Ta nyasi nasam inat syaha applies to the whole samastam padam. But this Vada nirdhuta, they're in the compound. Kabandasya shashti ekvachanam. You can also guess that these two probably go together. They don't have to, but they are probably going together. So Kabandha, Rakshasa Visheshaha. He was some Rakshasa. So he has an adjective now to him here. In all Shashti. So far we only have Shashti. As I mentioned in the last verse, is that the Shashtis can be left aside for the time being. Very simple advice for you. All the Shashtis, leave them aside for time being. We don't need them. Because they're only connecting to another noun. So Shashti is not a karaka vibhakti. The Shashti does not connect to the action directly. It only connects indirectly through another noun or adjective. So one more time. All the Shashtis. So Shashti is not a karaka vibhakti because it is not part of the action directly. It only tags on to another noun or adjective. So if you're trying to get the basic meaning of the sentence, forget about the Shashti for the time being. We'll come back to it. We'll add it on. It's an add-on basically. It's an add-on to one of the nouns. So we can leave these two. Now comes upadeshataha. This is an avyayam padam. Vastutaha, tattvataha, paramarthataha, upadeshataha. Now this taha is what is called a pratyaya tas. And also pratyaya tasil. In this case it is tas. So this is used very loosely to stand for any vibhakti. It's called a sarva Vibhaktikas Tasihi. Sarva Vibhaktikas Tasihi. And we see that there's a Vartikam for that. So we see that. So it means that Upadeshena. It's Upadeshena. See, on the advice, or due to the advice, on account of the advice of Kabandha, who has an adjective to him, Mumurcha is the Tingantam Padam. That's the heart of the sentence. Mumurcha. And look at the commentary, by the way. You can always look at the commentary. What does Mumurcha mean? The job of the commentator is to make it easier for us. The commentator's job is to make the shloka easier for us. So it is Spashtikaranam, Saralikaranam. To make it easier for us. So what does he say? Mumurcha. Let's see, what does he say? Mumurcha is Vavridhe. Mumurcha equals Vavridhe. Vridh, dhatu, vridh, vriddhi. Vriddhi means to grow, to expand, to increase. Vriddhi is increasing. So Vavridhe simply means that it grew, it expanded, it increased. So you can take, we'll go into all the details shortly. We just want to quickly get the meaning. Mumurcha is Vavridhe. Vavridhe means if something is increasing. So that's the basic gist of the sentence. Something is increasing. Something is expanding. Something is growing. Okay. Then Sakhyam Mumurcha. And look at the commentary again. He has put the Sakhyam directly prior to Mumurcha. So that is most likely the subject of the increasing. Sakhyam, of course, means friendship. So their friendship increased. The friendship grew. So somebody's friendship is growing. Whose friendship? Ramasya. Friendship of Ramaha. So Rama's friendship, of course, is a great thing to have. That is the Mahasaubhagyam, Mahat So, but the Mahat Saubhagyam will be separate. You can Mahat Saubhagyam. If you get a compound being Mahasaubhagyam, the great fortune of Sugrivaha is that he was able to get the friendship of Sri Ramaha. Anyway, so Ramasya Shashti Ekvachanam. So Ramasya Sakhyam Mumurcha equals Vavridhe. And then towards whom, but is of course Rama's friendship towards whom? It is Harau. Harau means Sugrive. Again the same Vishaya Saptami. The friendship towards Sugrivaha. So Rama's friendship towards Sugriva grew. It expanded, it increased on account of the advice given by Kabandha. That's the basic sentence. Now we have one adjective here. We have this Harihi. Of course, Hari has various meanings. We're going to come down here. Hari, of course, can mean a lion. It can mean a monkey. Of course, Hari can mean Shri Vishnu. It can mean, something which is basically something which is brownish, yellowish, brownish. It says Kapila. Kapila is brown. So we'll come to that in a second. But he has an adjective to me. Here it means Sugrive. It means Markate, Vanare Sugrive, in towards Sugriva. But make a note that Hari has various meanings. I think it also means a horse, maybe it could mean also. We'll check in update. But anything yellowish, brownish can mean Hari here. So Samana Vyasane Harau. It's a Bahuvri compound. Again, apply the test of Bahuvrihi. Test of Bahuvrihi is that unfortunately here he hasn't given the Vigraha Vakyam. He has only given a Paryaya Shabdaha. Is that he has given two of them. Samana Vyasane equals Samanapadi. Samanapadi equals Sakhyarthini Ityartha. So we have two things given over here. Samanam, I think is kind of straightforward. Samanam Vyasanam Yasya Saha. So one who was in a similar predicament, one whose difficulty was similar. So Sugriva was in the same problem. One who had the same problem basically. So Sugriva was someone who had the same problem, the same predicament as Rama did. Well, not exactly, but that's what the shloka says anyway. So it says Samanam Vyasanam Yasya Saha, the Vigraha Vakyam. Vigraha Vakyam is very straightforward. He hasn't given the Vigraha Vakyam. But look at the test of Bahuvrihi. We have a noun at the end, Vyasanam. And it is now the whole compound is an adjective for Sugriva. Samana vyasane harau Sugrive. Okay, so simple sentence is Sakhyam mumurcha equals Vavridhe. Kasya Sakhyam Ramasya Sakhyam. Kasmin Sakhyam Harau Sakhyam. Kidrishe Harau. What kind of hurry was he? Samana Vyasane Harau. One who had the same problem. Same problem as Rama basically. And then Kasmat Karanat. So for what reason? Upadeshataha Upadeshena. On somebody's advice. On whose advice was that? Kabandhasya Rakshasa Visheshasya. And what Kidrushasya Kabandhasya Upadeshataha. So Kabandha was of what kind? He was one Vada Nirdhuta Shapasya. Vada is of course killing, is Hatihi. And then Nirdhutaha. So Vadhena Nirdhutaha. Vada Nirdhutaha. So Nirdhuta comes in Gita. Always keep Bhagavad Gita play back in your mind at all times. At all times, of course, Vyakaranam, other things in life also. Keep Bhagavad Gita constantly playing in your mind at the back. All the time. So here we have in Gita, Jnana Nirdhuta Kalmashaha. With chapter 5, I think it is. Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Kavihastini. Nirdhuta comes in Gita. Nirdhuta Kalmashaha. See, same thing. In fact, it's exactly the same thing. Almost, well, very similar. What do you have in see what we have in Ramayana right now? We have in the Ramayana, Raghuvamsha Kavyam, we have Vada Nirdhuta Shapasya. What do you have in Gita? In Gita we have Jnana Nirdhuta Kalmashaha. Very similar. Is those whose impurities or sins have been washed away on account of knowledge, by knowledge. So same thing in Raghuvamsha Kavyam, which is Vadha Nirdhuta Shokaha. Shapaha. One whose curse was washed away, had gone away on account of the killing. So Rama Kritena Vadhena, because he got killed by Rama himself. So that was his blessing. So he got washed. So his curse which was on him got washed away. So similarly here, Jnanena Nirdhutam Kalmasham Yesham Te. So they are those yogis whose impurities or sins or whatever have been washed away on account of knowledge. So exactly same thing here. So always keep Gita. Always keep Gita playing in the back of your mind. So Vadhena Nirdhutaha Shapaha Yasya Saha. So first we form a simple Tatpurusha compound, Titiya compound, which is Vadhena Nirdhuta. Vadhena Nirdhutaha, which is washed away. Dhu is to kind of to shake off, or to wash away. Nirdhuta, completely shaken off. So one who's, again, the Bovary test, Shapa is a noun. We have to make the whole thing adjective qualifying Kabandha. So is one whose curse was completely shaken off on account of being killed by Rama. So then he says, Vadhena Ramakritena Vadhena. That's the important thing, of course. That was the reason why the curse went away. Because he had the Saubhagyam of being killed by Rama. So Ramakritena Vadhena. Nirdhuta Shapasya is straightforward. He comes with Deva. I think there is a typo, I think. I think Deva Bhuvangatasya, I think. There is a typo here, I think. Let me see. I think Deva, this is my type, Deva Bhuvangatasya, Swargam Gatasya. So basically, I'll read a story in a minute, but he was one whose curse was washed away. Means he went to heaven, basically. So it should be Deva Bhuvam. I think the typo. Deva Bhuvangatasya. Deva Bhu is Devanam Bhumihi. Devanam Bhu is Sarga. So he had gone to heaven. So he was a Gandharva supposedly, and he had a curse on him from Indra or somebody else had cursed him. There are a couple of different stories in the Puranas, and then they had told him that once Rama kills you, you'll go back to your prior form. So Deva Bhuvangatasya, Swargam Gatasya, one who had gone to heaven. So basically, what does it mean that he became absolved of his curse? Means he went back to heaven. Kabandasya raksho visheshasya. So rakshasam visheshaha. So it is a particular demon. Vishesham is a specific demon. Raksho visheshaha. Pratikpading is rakshas pratipadikam. Upadeshataha, no commentary on that. Ramasya, no commentary, straightforward. Samana vyasane is samanapadi, word the same predicament. Then Sakhyarthini, what is the same predicament? He also comments on that further. What does that mean? One who had the same predicament. Means Sakhyarthini. So Sakhyam Arthayati Sakhyarthin is one who is longing for a friend, or friendship. One who wants friendship. So both of them, well, at least that's what the shloka says, is that they were looking for friendship. So that was their common problem, is that they needed help, basically. They both needed help. Again, Rama never needs help, but anyway. So Sakhyarthini is what it says. So that was their common predicament, that they needed assistance. Sakhyarthin. We will derive some of these forms in a minute. Ityarthaha. Then Harau is Kapau Sugrive. So Vanare, Kapau, Kapi is a monkey. So the friendship of Rama towards Sugrivaha. Now he gives the various meanings of, how did he get that meaning of Sugrivaha, Vanare, Kapau? Shabdakoshat. From the lexicon. Amar Kosha. Amar Kosha gives Shukahi Kapibhekeshu Harirna Kapile Trishu. Okay, so Harihi has these, is used in these meanings. Shuka means a parrot. Ahi, I think it's a snake. Kapi is a monkey. And Bheka is a frog. Harir na means napumsakalinga shabdaha. So in the masculine, na means is prathama ekvachan of nru pratipadikam. Pratipadikam nru. The na is prathama ekvachan of pratipadikam nru. Nru means masculine, a man. So harihi, when it is masculine, is used in these sentences. Shukahi kapibhekeshu. And then kapile trishu. Trishu lingeshu vartate. It goes in all three genders in something which is brown. Adjective. It becomes an adjective for something which is brownish color. But it's specifically used in the masculine in these meanings. Shuka, ahi, kapi, bheka. So he always justifies his meaning. So Shabda Kosha Pramanat. Shabda Kosha Pramanam, which is the Pramanam given in the Amar Kosha, that it can be used, of course, Sandarbhat Spashtam. It is clear from the context. It has to be Kapi. This is Ramayanam, so, we all know the story of Rama's friendship with Sugrivaha. So clearly, it is clear from the context what the meaning is. But it's still, he makes sure that he justifies the usage, because it is used in the sense of Kapihi. So he says, Kapau Sugrive. Then Sakya Murcha Vavrudhe. Okay, let's go to some details here. Is that okay? Now we have Nirdhutaha Shapo Yasya Saha. We talked about that. Is one whose curse was shaken off, completely shaken off. Nirdhuta Shapa is Kabandha, is a Bahuri compound with Sutram, which we have done in great detail in the Wednesday class. This 2 to 24 Anekamanya Padarthe. In Saptami Visheshane Bahuvriha. In the Bahuri compound, the Visheshanam goes prior. And also, so this is the qualifying the Shapa. It was a curse which was completely washed off. And then same thing, similar thing, Samanam Vyasanam Yasya Saha. Sugriva was such that he had the same predicament, the same issue, the same requirement, same problem as Rama. Samana Vyasanaha Sugrivaha, same sutram, Anekamanya Padarthe, and Saptami Visheshane Bahuvriha. If you want to practice these, go to the Wednesday class recording. This is all done in great detail over there. Then Dhatu is Murcha. Murcha. It's Mohana Samuchraya Yoho. So Murcha has two meanings. Murcha, of course, also means to swoon, to faint. Also means to grow or to increase. So Murcha has two meanings. Now, so this is a strange dhatu. It has two meanings. There's one thing about dhatus is, dhatu nam bhavaha arthaha sambhavanti. So we can have a lot of meanings of dhatus. Don't get stuck with only one meaning. If you don't find the right meaning, think of, so murcha. Murcha is to murcha is to congeal, okay, to settle into solid form. There's one more meaning. To coagulate, to faint. Murcha is very known, like murchata. To lose consciousness, to become senseless. That's a very common meaning. To grow or increase. So mumurcha sahajam tejo. Here is the Raghuvamsha quotation. Mumurcha sakhyam ramasya. So that is also a meaning. So first meaning is to solidify, to congeal, to coagulate, then to faint or to swoon. Then is a meaning to grow, and this is the meaning that we have right now. That is murcha. Of course, the ending akara is an it by upadesha tasya lopaha. Murcha plus lit. Same steps before. Again, we're doing all this in the daily examples every day now. So every day you're getting the daily examples, right? So all these forms. Like we had over here. So all the daily examples now are for the last few days are these lit examples. All these same steps, follow all these same steps which you're getting every day, and they're here also. So you do the pratyaya comes null, prasripadanam null, atus usthal atus null vamaha. So we get the tip gets the null adeshaha. This is tip tajji. Tip becomes null. Never skip any steps. Always go through all the steps, because there might be some residual left behind. The pratyas leave behind pratyaya lakshanam. So don't bring the null pratyaya directly. First bring the tip and then null adeshaha. And then because this null has a sanya of, the tip gets sanya in this case of ardhadhatukam because of litcha sutram. This is all covered in daily examples. That stops the katri shap. Katri shap only comes sarvadhatuke. So normally tip tajji have sanya of Sarvadhatukam by ting shit sarvadhatukam. But if the same tiptajji etc. come as lit adesha, then they get sanya of ardhadhatukam sutam litcha. And then we cannot use kartari shab, because kartari shab is only sarvadhatuke. Then of course we do the anubandha lopaha chutu halantam tasya lopaha, and then we do the abhyasa karyam mritidha toranabhyasasya murcha haladi sheshaha. Then comes sutram upadhayancha. We did this also in the daily example. We've done this when we did the form kirtayati. If you remember that, I hope you remember that one. I think it came over here. Upadhayancha. So dhator upadha bhutayoho. Refa vakarayoho. Halparayoho parataha. Ikaha dirghasya. So if an ik vowel, ik means e-u and then r. If an ik vowel is followed by a repa, means the ra, or the vakara of a dhatu, which is the penultimate of a dhatu, and that repa or vakara is itself followed by a hal, then the ik letter takes the dirgha adesha. One more time, a ik letter followed by a repa or vakara which is the penultimate of a dhatu, upadha, and that repa or vakara is followed by a hal, any consonant, then that ik takes the dirgha adesha. So what do we have right now? We have murcha. So we have the repa of a dhatu, which is the penultimate of the dhatu, and that is followed by the chakara, which is the hal letter. It's preceded by the ik, which is the ukaraha. So we have the ik, which is the ukaraha, followed by the repa of it, which is the penultimate of a dhatu, upada of a dhatu, which is itself followed by a hal, which is a chakaraha. So the ik takes dirgha, becomes mumurcha. Now we can optionally also get a duplication of the chakaraha by the sutram achoraha bhyandve. I think somebody asked, I think Nagaraj had asked me the question. We write the word vartikam and vartikam, because you get the doubling, a doubling of the takara of vartikam, vrittam. So partha becomes partha. So partha. Very good example. So partha becomes partha. There's a takara comes. Same thing here. We have, so what is sutram is 5. These are all sandhi rules, which is 8446. 8446. If you look at the vritti quickly of 8446, it says that 8446 says that achoraha bhyam dve achaha parabhyam repa hakara bhyam parasya yaro dve vastaha. Always read the vritti. please pay your respect to the Vrittikaraha, to Siddhanta Kaumudikaraha, Patri Dikshitaha, who spend their whole life to make sure that we understand Vyakaranam clearly. So you can only understand the rules of Panini, of course, by Panini's grace, and also by the grace of the Vrittikaraha. So always read the Vritti. The Vritti explains the whole sutram in a nice sentence, in the most precise manner. Just like the sutram is precise, it is extra precise. The Vritti is also very precise. So it says that Achaf parabhyam repa hakarabhyam parasya yaraha. So if it is a year letter, so from starting from Haya Varat, starting from that year up to Shashasar, so up to there. So year letter. So which is preceded by a repa or hakaraha, which itself is preceded by a acha. So basically you have a vowel followed by repa, that's ra, or the ha, which is followed by a yar consonant. Then that yar consonant gets duplicated, optionally gets duplicated. So one more time, you have a vowel. In fact, let's go to the example. We have a vowel ukaraha. Here in case ukaraha, followed by a repa, followed by chakaraha. So that chakara, of course, is a yar letter. So then what happens is that the chakara gets duplicated optionally. Mumurcha, mumurcha, mumurcha. And then, of course, by kharicha, we get the chakara desha. So 8446, achoraha bhyam dve. Achoraha, like partha. So we have akara followed by repa followed by thakaraha. So you get partha. That thakara will get duplicated optionally by 8446, and then by kharicha will become takaraha. So like vartikam, vartikam, vartikam. So mumurcha, that's the prathama purush. So we have two forms, mumurcha and mumurcha. So that is, and then upadeshataha. There is this vartikam on 5444, which you have seen in previous classes many times. Tasi prakarane adyadibhya upasankyanam. This allows us to use a pratyaya tasi to stand for any vibhakti basically. This is what is called a sarvibhaktikaha tasi. So that is the vartikam on 5444. We done in the class many times. And that basically upadeshataha is upadesha, atva upadesha, on account of hetav, on account of that. So due to the advice of. Then sakyur bhavaha karmava sakhyam. The state, so the friendness, so it's called friendship. This tadhitaha is these what we call as the secondary affixes, which means when you create a new noun adjective derived from an existing noun or adjective, that is what's called tadhitaha. Tadhitaha means so it is called tebhya prayogebhya hitaha. These affixes help us understand the forms which are the secondary derived noun, what's called a derived noun, so to speak, tadhitaha. And there we have a nice section called tasya bhavaha tvatalau. So this pratyatva and tal, the sense of tasya bhavaha means thatness, that tasya bhavas tvatalau. And there Panini has specific sutram. Yes. Yes, Chitra, go ahead.
Satishji,
Yes.
in the Muktam Dhatu, you mentioned that there are Halantyam and Chutu, but I see only Upadesha Ajanunasika, right?
Okay, no, the chutu was for the pratyaya and null.
Oh, okay.
And so the nakara is by chutu.
Not for the Dhatu.
No, dhatu only this one. Upadesha nasikait. 132.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that.
I'm glad you're following the class. So welcome to the class. Welcome to the
Thank
class.
you.
You can also ask questions on the chat window, or the questions window.
Mm-hmm.
You can also do that. But good. Welcome to the class.
Thanks.
So only chutu and halantyam only for null pratyaha, and the upadesha nasikait is for the murcha only, this one. Okay. And now, by the way, actually I should put one more step. Lit lakara, first you have to do the anubandha lopaha. By halantyam upadesha nasikait, in place of lakara only comes null. I skipped that simple step, but this has to take anubandha lopa also. So first of all, the dhatu takes anubandha lopaha. Then here we are lit should take anubandha lopaha. And then tip in place of tip null comes, then null takes anubandha lopaha with chutu. Any technical term should take anubandha lopaha. Okay, so okay, now where were we? Okay, sakyur bhavaha. So that is what Panini has a special sutram here, which says that sakyur yaha. So that one is 5.1.126. So it's adhikara of tasya bhavastu talau. So thatness, the state of that, like lagutvam, gurutvam, lagavam, mardavam, arjavam, saundaryam, all these are in this adhikara of tasya bhavastu talau. It's a short adhikara comparatively, not that long. It goes to 5.1.1. So only 18 rules. Actually only 17 rules in the adhikara. So here Panini has a special sutram. As I said to you many times, if Panini devotes his sutram specifically for one form, try to understand why we need that. But that means that Panini is not able to fit this anywhere else. So he specifically says sakyur yaha, pratyaya ya is used. After the sakhi pratipadikam, sakyu is panchami ekvachanam. Panchami ekvachanam, because the sakhi pratipadikam, as we know, the special pratipadikam. Shesho Ghiya Sakhi doesn't get the Ghi Sanya. Shesho Ghiya Sakhi, which comes way back in 1.4. Shesho Ghiya Sakhi. So here we have the Shesho Ghiya Sakhi, and then we get Khyatiyat Parasya. I'm not going to details. Sakyu basically is Panchami Ekvachanam. If you want to practice on the website, look at the sutram, which is Khyatiyat Parasya, which is 6.1, I think 1.1.1 or 1.1.2. Khyatiyat parasya. So this is the word sakyu, can be shashtami or panchami ekavachanam. In this case it is panchami ekavachanam. So in the sutram, because why panchami ekavachanam? Because we are in the adhikara of nya pratipadika, the panchami. So following a pratipadikam. So nya pratipadika starts from way back from 4.1.1. 4.1.1 starts nya pratipadika. And there we have the sutram sakyur yaha. So this pratipadika is panchami ekvachanam. So sakyur yaha is sakyu, could have been shashti or panchami ekvachanam. In this case it is panchami ekvachanam because it means following the pratipadikam sakhi. We get the pratyaha ya pratyaya in the sense of thatness. It could also means the action or the duty or the work of a friend. Could mean the work of a friend, or could be the state of a friend. In this case, friendship. Otherwise, the steps are straightforward. Sakyur bhavaha. This is shashti ekvachanam, by the way. This sakyur bhava is shashti ekvachanam. Sakyu, the state of a friend, means friendship. So sakhi plus nyas pratyaya. Now, this is because this entire samudaya gets sanya pratipadikam by krityaja samasascha, this tadita pratyaha. And then we get supluk by supo dhatu pratipadika yoho. If you're done, of course. And then the angam gets the bhasanya by yachibham. So swadishvasvaranamasthane yachibham. Also mentioned many times is that if the swadi pratyaha, which is referred to in the sutram 1.4.17.18, which is swadishvasvaranamasthane and yachibham, not only the 21 supratyas, they include all sthir pratyas and all tadditas. The swadi starts from 4.1.2 and goes to the end of chapter 5. So swadi is not only the 21 supratyas, they go swadi, which is referred to in 1.4.17.18, goes to end of chapter 5. So pratyaya is a swadi pratyaya, is yakaradi. Angam gets the bhasanya. And then the bhasanya means you call the subroutine of bhasya, which starts from 6.4.129. In that your sutram, which is yasyeti cha, which means that ivarnantasya athva avarnantasya bhasanyakasya lopo bhavati taddhite yikare cha pare. Taddhite yikare cha pare. So if you have a angam which has the bhasanya, here was yachibham, and which is followed by tadhita pratyaya or ikaraha, then angam ends in the e varna or avarna. We get lopaha, of course, alontyasya, which means sakhya. So sakhyam. Okay, let us do some translation. You ready, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's try. Let me see if I can get this up here. So, okay, see what we have here. Okay, we have through the advice is what? Upadeshatah.
Upadeshatah.
That means upadeshena, upadeshena. Of kabandha.
Kabandhasya.
Kabandhasya. Straightforward Shashti Ekvachanam. And then, who had his curse shaken, removed by his death at the hands of
Vadha nirdhuta shapasya.
Shapasya. So Vadhena nirdhutaha shapaha yasya saha. So curse is shapaha, shaken nirdhuta, and death is Vadha. Same as in Gita, Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. Rama's is
Ramasya.
Ramasya. And then let me bring the other one. Ramasya. And then we have okay. Ramasya. Okay. Friendship.
Sakhyam.
Friendship. And then Guru.
Murcha.
Mumurcha. There can be two forms, Mumurcha and Murcha. Because the Sutram Achorahabhyam Dve is optional rule. Guru strong, that's the Mumurcha. With the monkey, towards the monkey is
Harau.
Who was laboring under a similar misfortune.
Samana vyasane.
Thank you, sir. But the one thing quickly, this word in the commentary, Sakyarthini. If you want to derive that word, we can look in our Wednesday class. We have this word. We had just had that, right? I think Chayarthini, we had that. Very similar thing is that. So Chayarthin. We just had that, I think, last week. Chayarthin. Chayarthin. Do we have that? Chayarthin. I think we had that. Yeah, Chayarthiyaha. Chayarthin is the word derived here. So basically the same thing, Sakyarthin. Arthin is Vidyarthi. Arthi is one who is longing, one who wants that, one who wants to earn that. So it says, Chayam Arthayati Tachilaha Chayarthi. Anyway, we already did this in great detail. If you want to look at the details here, the sutram basically is the sutram which is Suchirasthai. Okay, it's right here. So it is the Sutram 3278, which is Supya Jato Nistachilye. So when somebody does something habitually, he's constantly longing. So then Pratyar Nini is you, like Ushna Bhojin, Shakaharin. So one who eats vegetables all the time. So this is the Pratyar Nini which is used. So we did all the detailed steps. So basically in this case you have Sakhya plus plus you have the dhatu, in this case Arthayati. I think in Churadi Ganaha Pratyar Nini will come. Same sutram is Upapada Samasaha. So you can, and then we can do the Anubandha Lopaha, get in, remove the Pratyaya by supluk, and becomes Arthin. So if you look at this, look at it in detail, you can look at the Wednesday class notes. 3278 has been used in this form. Sakyarthini. Okay. Now we have 15 minutes left. Let's at least into the shlokaha, which is the 58th shlokaha. Says Ashtapanchashattamaha श्लोकः स हत्वा वालिनं वीरस्तत्पदे चिरकाङ्क्षिते धातोः स्थान इवादेशं सुग्रीवं संन्यवेशयत. So this is the Ashtapanchashattama shloka athva Ashtapanchashattama shloka. There are two forms. Anyway, 58th shloka. It says Sa hatva valinam virastatpade chirakangshite dhato sthana ivadesham sugrivam sanyaveshayat. This is you'll enjoy this. I enjoy this shloka very much because this is where the Vyakaranam gets the better of Kalidasa. Vyakaranam so Kalidasa's brain once in a while he gets clogged with Vyakaranam, and that's when he composes shloka like this one. Remember we had a long time back, we had a shloka by Kalidasa where he compares Rama and Sita. Like in Vyakaranam we had the Prakriti and Pratyaha. So Rama and Sita like that. So we had that, like so bhavat varavadhu samagamaha pratya prakriti yoga sannibhaha. So like when Sita married Rama, when they had the kalyanam, vivahaha, it was like a prakriti, which is the base, or the like a dhatu or a pratipadikam. When it meets the pratyaya, which is the affix, that is what Kalidasa gave as a simile at that time. So because the prakriti alone cannot do anything, it requires this sup or the thing, or some pratyaya to come over there. It could be tatisa pratyaya, could be anything, and the pratyaya cannot do anything on its own. So Sita on her own cannot do anything. Rama also cannot do anything. But when they come together, that's when the Ramayana takes place, right? So Ramayana takes place. So that time Kalidasa gave the upama of Kalidasa was Varavadhu Samagamaha. The coming together of Rama and Sita was like the Pratya Prakritis Yoga Sannivaha. Was like Rama was the Pratyaha, like the affix, and Sita was the Prakriti. And they came together like that. So at that time, and of course, Kalidasa some get criticized for this sometime. But anyway, we can enjoy this one. We can get the joy of Vyakaranam and Kavyam in one place. So Vyakarana Kavya Yoho. So Kavya Vyakarana Yoho Anandaha Ekasmin Sthane. So Saha Hatva Valinam Viraha. Pade is a compound. So, this is a case where it may or may not be a compound. Tat could have been prutak padam also. Tat could have been a separate padam. But from the context, tat could have been an avyayam. Tat could have been a dvitiya or pratama ekvachan pradipadikam tad. But in this case, from the context, sandarbhajñāya, it's a part of the compound. Samasantargatam. Tat pade tasmin tasya pade. Chirakangshite also a compound. Dhatoho, this is where the fun comes now. Dhatoho sthane iva. So sthane is of course echo yava yavaha, followed by lopashakalyasya. Echo yava yavaha, followed by lopashakalyasya. So and then so this comes in Gita. Always keep Bhagavad Gita at the back of your mind all times. Yesham loka imah prajaha. So loke imaha becomes loka imaha. Chapter 10 of Gita. Chapter 10. Here it is. Yesham loka imah. Here it is. Madbhava manasa jata yesham loka imaha prajaha. It is loke imaha prajaha. Echo yava yava for lokasha. So exact same sandhi in Gita. Loka imaha is loke imaha. Same thing here. Sthane iva, sthana iva, echo yava yavaha, lopashakalyasya. Then that yakara lopa is asiddha in the eyes of adgunaha. Because that lopashakalyasya is a tripadi karyam. We cannot then come back and do adguna after that. So iva adesham, of course, akasam dirgha. Sugrivam sanyaveshayato. Let's look at this form, sanni aveshayato. Sanni aveshayata. Look at this aya coming over here, which we've discussed many times. That means that probably the pratyaya nich may have been used here. When you get this aya combination, when the nich pratyaya comes, takes the guna adesha, because when shap comes after that, becomes ekaraha, and echo yava yavaha combines with the shap to becomes aya, like chorayati, sthapayati, darshayati, all these forms, aya, mohayati, always this aya. So one more time, this aya is really not any pratyaya, anything, it's just a combination of the nich taking guna adesha, becoming ekaraha, followed by the shap, and then the echo yava yava, a becomes I, and then combined with the akara of shap to becomes aya. That's just a quick way to look at this and say, well, wait a minute, this might be a nijant prayogaha. Second thing is that we have the dhatu vishati comes in Gita. Vishatitadanantaram comes in Gita. So it comes in Gita and very I think chapter 1 itself of Gita, doesn't it? Yeah. Upavishata. So comes in Gita. In the chapter 1 it comes. It comes in few places, I think, Gita. But here it comes in Upavishat. So the vi dhatu, vish dhatu, sorry, wish to enter, it belongs to the Tudadiganaha. So it will not take the guna adesha because the pratyaya sha which is coming here, which is the akaraha, it is a apit pratyaya. So because sarvadhatukam apit becomes nitvat, and that stops because of the kriticha, we get the guna nishedha. So the fact that wish has become vesha, and we have the aya combination here, are two things which are telling us that this is most likely a causative form. So one more time, the wish would not become vesha. If it was shuddha dhatu wish, become avishat, it would become pravishat. Or it become sanya vishat. Sanya become avishat. It has taken the guna adesha. Second thing is that, so which means something has caused the guna adesha. It cannot be caused by the pratyaya sha. And second thing is that you see the aya combination. So this is again the heart of the sentence. So vakyas hridayam. So vakyas hridaya bhutam padam tingantam padam. So syanyaveshayata means he established. He made him enter. So somebody is making somebody enter. Somebody is making somebody be kind of well established. So put down. He put him down. Somebody is putting somebody down, making somebody enter. So we quickly look at the form here. We'll continue next time with some details. But okay. I'm sorry, the wrong place. So okay. Sanya, of course, sun and some and ni are upasargas. So that is, we see aveshayata is basically the form that we want to look at. Aveshayata. So let's see, we have number 58, right? Okay, so 58. Okay, I went up. Okay, it should be down here. This is become a long document now. 55, 56. 758. So sanya veshayata. Okay. So it is dhatu is visha praveshane at the pratyaya nich in hetumaticha. You've covered in daily examples many times now. 3126 of the akara of dhatu takes the lopaha means it sanya by upadesh ajananasika it upadesh ajananasika it halantyam. Tasya lopaha nich pratyaya chutu halantyam puganta laghuputasya. This is where the guna adesha comes because of the nich. By puganta laghupatasya cha. Then veshi gets dhatu sanya by sanadyanta dhatavaha. And then we add the pratyaya lang, anadyatane lang, which also we've done many times. Then anubandha lopaha, chutu upadesha nasika tasya lopaha, tip tajji pratyaya. Tip comes with vivaksha is pratham purusha ekavachanam because Ramaha sugrivam nyaveshayata. Rama established Sugrivaha. He made Sugriva enter. You see, he put him down. And then of course itascha sutram, the ikara takes. Of course halantyam first of all, then itascha sutram. Then after that shap kartari, shap, the usual operations. Anubandha lopa halantyam lashakwata ditetasya lopaha, sarvadhatuka ardhatuka yoho, and then echo yava yavaha veshayata, and finally adagamaha lung lang rung kshodadataha aveshayata. Then samni aveshayata sanniveshayata is upasargaha. Upasargah kriya yoge te parag dhatoho. They go before a dhatu. This is not a compound. Tingantam na samasyate. Tingantam doesn't compound. So sanniveshayata, we get the yan sandhi equal chi. And then of course this makara becomes a anuswaraha by naschavadantasya jhali sanniveshayata. Now, so that is the heart of the sentence. But then what we have is that we have that. Who's the sentence of that? Saha, Ramaha. You see, pratyaktva has come over here. Samana kritakyoho purva kale, which is 3:4:21. Somebody is doing two actions. The same doer is doing two actions back to back. So Saha Ramaha, Valinam hatva, having killed Vali. Then Tat pade, then Viraha Ramaha, of course, Saha Viraha Ramaha, Valinam Hatva, Tat pade means Tasya Valinaha pade. In the position, on the post of Vali, on Vali's post, in the position of Vali, Chirakangshite, which was for a long time, It was longed for a long time by Sugrivaha. So in the place of Vali, in the position of Vali, which had been longed for by Sugrivaha, he Sugrivam Sanyaveshayata. So Sugrivam Sanyaveshayata. He established Sugrivaha. Now comes the fun part. Look at the simile which he gives. Dhatoha sthane iva adesham. Again, look at the matched vibhaktis, please. Always between Upama and Upamaya matched vibhaktis. So adesham is dvitiya ekvachanam. And so is Sugrivam. So Rama established Sugrivaha in Vali's position. Just like Paninihi, puts a adesha, a substitution, in the place of a dhatu. So that is Kalidasa's Vyakaranam getting the better of Kalidasa, is that he's comparing Rama to basically like Panini. And he's comparing Sugriva to a substitution, an adesha. And Vali was the original dhatu. So in place of Vali, having killed him, Rama established Sugrivaha. Just like Panini takes a substitute and he removes a dhatu and puts in place of the dhatu he puts a substitute. So that is the upama. So we'll continue next time. Time is running out. Let's quickly look at the commentary. Let me give you some homework. Viraha saha Ramaha. Always put the subject on top. Subject he puts, then he puts the kriya padam, the thing and the padam at the end. So Viraha Ramaha. Valinam is Sugrivagrajam, the elder brother of Sugrivaha. Hatva, having killed. Chirakanshite, no commentary. Kanksha is too long. Yonadveshana Kankshati comes in Gita. Kankshati, Ichchati, to long for. Kankshitam is Ishtam, Vanchitam, which is desired. So Chiram is for long times. We'll do it next time, some details in the next class, which was long for. In that padam is adjective for Tatpade. Is Vali sthane. Valiness in the place of Vali. Valiness sthane. Dhatoho sthane adesham iva. Adesha bhutam dhatvantaram iva. A different dhatu, a substitute dhatu. A substitute dhatu. Adesha bhutam dhatvantaram iva. Dhatvantaram means anyo dhatu. Anyo dhatu, another dhatu which is substitute. So Sugrivam was like that substitute dhatu. Like Panini puts a substitute dhatu. Sanyaveshayata sthapitavan. He established. He made him go there, means he put him down there, means Rama established Sugriva in the place of Vali. Just like Panini takes a substitute dhatu and puts in a place of dhatu. So what he gives this thing, we will continue next time. Yatha aster bhuho. What we have is, you can do some homework please, if you want to do some homework, is in the section, this adhikar of ardha dhatu ke comes in the Ashtadhya in two places. One of them is 2435. And Sutram there is aster bhuho. So if you want to look for homework, 2452 aster bhuho. So it's very simple sutram. In place of dhatu, as substitute bhu comes in when the pratyaya following a sanya of ardhadhatukam. In the place of us, bhu comes as a substitute when the pratyaya which is following a sanya of ardhadhatukam. So he explains that here. So that's our homework for next time please, is 2452. Yatha aster bhuho iti asti dhatoho sthane. In place of dhatu, us. Adesha, substitution. Bhu dhatuho. Asti karyam ashesham samabhidhatte. Means whatever operations us would have taken. Now Bhu comes and takes those operations. So whatever Vali's job, whatever Vali's position, whatever Vali was doing, now Sugriva is going to do all of that. Just like whatever the as dhatu would have done, the dhatu Bhu comes in place of that, and Bhu undergoes the same operations now which us would have gone through. So same thing now, Sugriva is going to carry on the job of Vali. So Karyam Ashesham. So all the activities of Asti were done by Bhu. So all the work of Vali was done by Sugrivaha. Tadvad iti bhavaha. So what is an Adesha explains? Adesho nama. What is an Adesha? Means Adesha simply means Shabdantarasya sthane, in place of one word, Vidhiyamanam Shabdantaram Abhidhiyate. So which is a particular word form, another word form, which comes in place of another word form. Means basically in English, substitute. Okay, we'll continue next time. We'll just complete some details next time, and we'll start with this one next time. Ramo Rajamanis Sada Vijayate Rama.